One of the most asked questions I get in my comments is, Jeff, I've got 30 grand Aussie a year. Can I actually live the dream in Thailand, or am I kidding myself? Well, today we're putting the unicorns and fairies to bed. We're going to break down a 30k budget in 2026. And before we start, let's set the parameters. Let's assume this is a single person. This is 30,000 Australian dollars, which is about the same as a single age pension in Australia. It's not age or gender specific, and I'll compare all major exchange rates for anyone outside of Australia. We're going to factor in a 2026 inflation buffer, and we aren't living like a hermit. We want to live well. And remember, well means different things to different people. So I'll use my lifestyle as a baseline, and you can adjust it from there. And by the end of this video, I want to answer the question most Thailand YouTube videos ignore. Not just whether 30 grand a year is enough, but whether the life you build on that money is actually sustainable long term. Out here in Thailand, life can move at a pretty affordable pace compared to Australia. Rent is cheaper, local food is cheaper, fuel, markets, mobile plans, even a simple coffee in the morning. It adds up very differently to back home. But affordability is only one part of the equation, because where you choose to live in Thailand will completely shape your budget and your quality of life. Village life like this can dramatically reduce your monthly costs, but the trade-off might be convenience, infrastructure, Western comforts and healthcare access. That's why throughout this video, we're not just looking at the raw numbers, we're looking at the bigger picture around our life score, the cost of living, healthcare and access, lifestyle, community, and whether this kind of life is actually sustainable long term, because living cheaply and living well aren't always the same thing. So what I've done with the budget is I thought it's pretty hard to generalise between Australia and Thailand when we're making these price comparisons. So I tried to find a place in Australia in the rural area that kind of reminded me of this area that I'm living in now. And I come up with Bundaberg. All right, I'm trying to do this video piece here in the thick of the suburbs here. But have a look at this nice little house. Look at this place. Brand new. The problem I'm having is every time I turn the camera on, the neighbours love to come out and say hello. Oh, I just find, what's this? Little apple. What is that? Huh. Okay, I had to walk out of the village because everyone was coming up and saying hello, and I couldn't get a single minute of recording. What I wanted to establish is that I've used a small rural town in Australia called Bundaberg to compare with this rural town. So we need to put apples with apples. I think it's unfair if I compare rural Thailand with Melbourne or Sydney. So I just picked Bundaberg because it just reminded me of similar weather, similar, size of town, etc. The other thing is my lifestyle. I live a really basic lifestyle at the minute, guys. Right now, I spend, Monday to Friday, I work in my office, in the studio. So I don't have a complicated lifestyle. Mine's very simple. I'm working 5 days a week. I put some time aside for my girlfriend. We go out once a day for a local meal, and we cook from the market. We source from the markets and a little bit from Big C, and we cook for ourselves for the most part. So I'm baseline. You've got to look at my budget as baseline and those figures as baseline and work yourself up, because most of you are probably going to spend more. If you hang around to the end, I will show you my budget. I'll show you how it's panning out. I'll show you all the receipts and exactly how much I've been spending and what sort of lifestyle it's affording me right now. So let's start with the biggest expense for most people anywhere in the world, rent. Now here in Phon, Phisai, things are obviously very different to Bangkok, Phuket, or the tourist hotspots most foreigners think about when they picture Thailand. For around 6,000 to 12,000 baht a month, you can find a simple but comfortable local style home or townhouse in this area. Nothing flashy, no infinity pool or gym, but it will have air conditioning, decent internet, space to breathe and a real neighbourhood around you. If you want something more modern or Western style, you'll want to move up to Nong Khai. So for this video, I'm going to budget around 12,000 baht per month for housing in this area. And honestly, compared to Australia, that alone completely changes the equation. I reckon that food and entertainment is probably, well, when I say entertainment, I mean food and beer, is probably my biggest expense over here, which is really bizarre because normally it's your mortgage or your rent. Rent is probably down the lower end of my expenses along with utilities and everything else, which is really bizarre because I'm not used to that. But we're going to head into Big C right now. We're going to have a look at, you know, maybe half a dozen of the Western food items that you're definitely going to be indulging in over here. And we'll see how we can fit that in our budget. So I think it's really important that you crunch the numbers and assume that you're going to buy a lot of Western food as well. I think you'd be silly not to put that in your budget now because you will be craving the Western food. But like I said, I probably only buy maybe 20% of my budget out of my food budget might go to Big C or one of these chains. And I'm just buying really obscure things that I can't get. Some of these things have gone up since the last time we were here, I can tell you that now. Firstly, I'm going to go straight for the Chang carton. They've gone up 40 odd baht. That you can see here, 683. So the last time we were here, they were 640. So this is a fuel price, diesel price issue. Now, first thing I'm going to look at is the butter. Now I'm going to look at a decent butter. So for 250 grams, you're looking between, well, there's half a kilo, that's 250 baht, and that is a New Zealand butter. I'm going to go and find just a normal block of cheese that I would get in Australia, like this one here, and I think they're a 200 gram, 200 baht. You can see here, just a little thing of cheddar. You know, you're looking between, for a small block, 2 to 250 baht. All right, let's look at the milk. Milk is still same, 100 baht for a litre. 100 baht a litre. I'm on a bit of a low carb diet, so I've just bought 2 kilos of brown rice for 90 baht because every time I come to Big C, I buy the ingredients for chili con carne. I love it, but I just bought this brown rice here, 2 kilos, 90 baht. So over here, I'll just show you, for example, the beans will cost you 50 baht for a can of kidney beans. I'm not going to bother buying the tomato because we can buy those cheap at the local fresh market. Okay, so I found the tomato paste. A little can, just for one serve is, we can make probably 2 dishes out of that. 35 baht, not bad. The other thing I'm picking up here, because I've been smashing the pork ribs. I marinate pork ribs. I can get really cheap at the local market, and they're very nice, guys. Baby back ribs. Probably the closest you're going to get to organic meat is out there in the local market. I'm not going to buy them here at Big C. I'll rather support the locals for that sort of food. Now let's talk about transport, because this is another area where the numbers between Thailand and Australia are vastly different. In rural Thailand, transport can still be surprisingly simple. All you need is a reliable scooter, a tank of fuel for a couple hundred baht, and the servicing and rego are fairly cheap. But for a lot of people, the scooter works fine, but it's not for everyone. So bear this in mind and make the adjustments in your budget. Now, scooter riding may not be for everyone, obviously, guys, and there are some other options. A good friend of mine sent me an offer down in Pattaya for a lease car, which is something I'm thinking about at the moment. It was 12,000 baht for the month with premium insurance, and that'll be for a regular sort of mid-tier vehicle. and I think that's a pretty damn good price. I'm going to lease one before I buy any vehicles out here. I'll probably lease a car so we can get out to these towns and do these videos for you. But scooter riding's not for everyone. It suits me fine because it's quite affordable, and I'm out here in the village. Getting into Phisai takes me about 20 minutes, so it's a pretty easy ride out. It's a nice pleasant ride and it's not too dangerous. Next up, mobile phones and internet. And honestly, this is one of the most underrated advantages of living in Thailand. Fast internet here is everywhere now. Even in rural areas along the Mekong, you can still get surprisingly solid fibre connections and mobile coverage. For this challenge, I'm budgeting around 1200 baht a month for both home internet and mobile plan combined. Guys, here I am in the arse end of the world in Thailand, middle of nowhere. I've got the guys out here running fibre to my little cabin. I can't even get internet in Perth, one of the most techno cities in the world, and I can't get fibre, but I can get it here. The crack team of internet installers. We've got 3 blokes on the job, love it. They're not mucking around here. Now let's talk about utilities, because this is one area where Thailand can surprise people, especially during the hot season. If you're running the AC all day, every day, it will add up. But overall, utilities here in Thailand are still very affordable. For this exercise, I'm budgeting around 2,500 baht a month for electricity and water. Hey guys, welcome to my office studio here where I spend 5 days a week, 8 hours a day editing and doing all my business in the background. Now it gets brutally hot over here in Thailand, and expect to run your AC all day, every day during the really hot season. That's depending on if you're a homebody and you're going to be hanging out at home. I play a lot of video games in my spare time as well, so you know, bulk of the time I am indoors. Now, we run the AC for 12 hours a day, and then when we go to sleep, I sleep with a fan, and that's totally sufficient for me. So it all depends. Everyone's different. So expect to run the AC 24/7 if you're a homebody. And at the end of the video, I'll let you know exactly how much it's costing me a month. Now finally, healthcare. And honestly, this is probably the single biggest concern for most people thinking about moving to Thailand long term. Because when you're healthy, Thailand can feel incredibly affordable. But life changes very quickly when hospitals, insurance, emergencies, or long-term health issues enter the picture. Look, Thailand has very good private healthcare in many parts of the country, especially in the larger cities. And for this challenge, I'm budgeting around 6,000 baht a month towards healthcare and insurance. Because living cheaply means nothing if one emergency wipes out your savings overnight. And compared to Australia, everyday healthcare in Thailand is still surprisingly affordable. I'm out front of the major hospital here in Phisai, which is about a 25-minute drive from the village where I live. There is no shortage of healthcare and medical facilities in this country, I can tell you that. Now, even in the villages, you've got tons of little medical centres, doctors, they're everywhere. And the one thing that we forget over here is you don't need to go to a doctor to get antibiotics or some of these minor things, where in Australia, you know, it's a major drag. If I want to get antibiotics for something really minor, you've got to go to a doctor, you've got to pay for them, you've got to make the time to get there and make the appointment. Here, you could pretty much go to a chemist and get most of the small care drugs that you need straight from a pharmacy. So that's one benefit of being over here, and you're definitely going to save money. Even with Medicare in Australia, it's still expensive. Not everyone bulk bills, and you know, it's just a hassle. Here, I love it. You know, I had a little eye infection a couple of weeks ago. and my girlfriend went down to the local chemist and came back with some antibiotics, and yeah, it was cleared up in 2 days. Cost me, I think it was $10. And finally, the emergency buffer fund. Because no matter how good our budget looks on paper, real life always finds a way to test it. So for this challenge, I'm putting aside around 8,000 baht a month as a buffer fund. Because in my opinion, the difference between surviving in Thailand and building a sustainable life here long term is having enough breathing room when things go wrong. And honestly, that's the part most fantasy budget videos completely ignore. Anybody can make the numbers work for one perfect month. The real question is though, can your life still work here a year later when reality shows up? So for those who are new to the channel, I came to Southeast Asia on a limited budget because I can't access my private pension fund yet. I'm still too young, believe it or not. I also wanted to pursue my dream of becoming a travel vlogger without constantly worrying about money. So right now I'm mainly living off a limited amount of savings along with a small income from YouTube. Now before I left Australia, I set myself a budget of 30,000 Australian dollars a year to cover me for 2.5 years. Now I left Australia about 10 months ago, and even after factoring in some camera gear and setup costs, I've spent roughly 20,000 Australian dollars so far. So at this stage, I'm still on track to come in at around $30,000 for the year. And here's the thing, that's for 2 of us. I've been renting my cabin here for 2,500 baht a month, and recently I took on both cabins for 4,000 baht a month combined. Unbelievable. My last electricity bill was around 1,800 baht, and that's running the AC for about 12 hours a day because it gets bloody hot over here. Now what I didn't tell you at the beginning of the video is that this $30,000 challenge is basically my real life budget. But not everyone could or would want to live this way. So the real question is, will this lifestyle be sustainable for me long term? Honestly, I think it could. But the bigger question is, could you do it? I love my life over here, and besides missing my kids back at home, I have zero regrets. I hope this video helps guide some of you and give you a more realistic perspective, and maybe even make you feel a little bit more confident about the idea of relocating to Southeast Asia one day. Thank you so much everyone for watching. Take care, and I hope to see you on the next one.